Hey chatters, I'm Saniqua.
I'm Ashley.
And I'm Nikisha.
And we are your hosts of Coffee and Chat.
Share. If you're on here right now, please bring your friends in. Share on Facebook. Share our video on your page. Go on YouTube and subscribe today. Please, y'all, if you want to catch up on the videos from last season and this season, they will all be on YouTube. We are about to take a break soon, so you get your chance to rear up and get ready for season 3. Hey, season 3.
I know, right?
Can you look season 3?
I know.
What we doing?
But subscribe. Ask your friends to do so. Follow us on Instagram if you just want to stay updated on what's going on. And Twitter, little tweets here and there. But these are at Instagram is Coffee and Chat _co. And Twitter, Coffee and Chat Co. YouTube /Coffee Chat.
All right. So tonight we have an interesting and a pretty, I want to say, like, decent, like, conversation topic. Nikisha was doing some research today and just kind of figuring out, like, what are some frequently asked questions with believers and things that we believe that may not always get addressed in church. And so you guys know that we love to, hit those topics for you guys and really be a help and even a resource in that way, or if nothing else, just share our journey and share where we are in our testimonies. And so tonight we're going to talk about sincere doubting, and that basically is, in a nutshell, just when we as believers find ourselves in a place of doubt and unbelief and how God feels about it and how it is a real thing. We're not perfect. We're not always going through things like, I got this amount of faith and I can do this and I can do that. Like, we literally have challenges in this Christian walk. And so tonight we want to just open up a dialogue about that and just see how you guys, maybe how you guys feel, and y'all can hear our testimony. So that's where we are tonight, sincere doubting. All right. Do you want to start, or do you want to share?
Sure, I can share a little bit about what I looked up, because I thought that it was written really well. Dang, I'm sorry, I don't even have the website, so I'm not trying to plagiarize. I can put it up under there. But, y'all okay?
Yeah.
But I just want to read this clip real quick that he put on there. He said, many churches today, there are Christians, even pastors, who are struggling with doubt. They have absorbed all the recommended apologetics. They have cried out in prayer. They are struggling to believe that God is good, or that He's there at all. Yet they continue with the motions. They put on a smile while setting up the coffee table. They mouth along with the words and the worship songs, but it all feels hollow to them. And he basically says he knows because he's been there. He's one of those people. What he continues to say, one of the most vital ways the church can handle doubt is to stop acting like everything about faith is obvious, which I thought was really good. The church can recognize that we all have doubts from time to time, but we cling to a hope that's beyond rational explanation. Churches can also stop trying to hide the hard parts of the Bible under the rug or downplay the significance these ethically questionable parts play in a person's doubt. Sorry, that was a tongue twister at the end. But the fact that he's like, that faith is obvious, like, that is so good. Like, one thing that really bothers me a lot of times is that people assume that other people know how to pray. Like, even the disciples themselves asked Jesus to teach them how to pray.
Yeah.
And that one is just like, just go talk to God. Well, they wouldn't be coming to you telling you that it's hard for them to pray if they hadn't already tried it and realized that it's not that easy.
Yeah.
And some people forget that they didn't just start praying these 2-hour prayers overnight, that they really had to churn. Like, I love that movie War Room, because I just love that old lady, like, just staying there, you say whatever you gotta say, write it down, and just giving her these tips. And then a young woman over time is like, man, at first it was like 10 minutes and then I'm falling asleep, or I'm eating Cheetos and popping them off the wall, I'm so distracted. But now I'm just like, I can do this all day long, I love it. But it takes practice. Anything, that you master or want to get good at takes practice, and that's even your faith. Believe it or not, your faith takes practice. There was another Another website I looked up is called Desiring God. It's Pastor John Piper, and he's really good with information. If you need somebody he answers a lot of questions, people bring him questions and he answers them. So he actually had one on doubt, and he used the scripture. I had both of them thing. I ain't look up, but I know one that he used was Mark 9, 23 through 25, and this is when the man had a son with epilepsy, and he asked the Lord Jesus to heal him, and basically he told the Lord, like, I believe, but help my unbelief. And I love that scripture, because it's like, it really just shows the humility of his heart. Like, I believe that you are Lord, and I want to just be all in, but I still doubt. Like, there's still just part of me that just is not fully committed to this. And we would be lying if we said that we weren't there, like on a regular basis. Like, I'm just saying, like, from day to day, because you may not say it with your mouth, you might not even say it in your head, but your actions say it.
Yeah.
You know, when you continue to go back to your vomit, or back to that same sin, or just to be habitual in some of the things that the Lord is talking to you, and you're saying in your actions that I don't believe that you're judged. I don't believe that you ultimately can help me through this. Like, you know, and I don't think that the Lord looks at our doubt like, you, oh, wretched sinner. He looks at our doubt like, you are but dirt. Like, you know, I understand who I
He pities us. I feel like one thing I learned about faith or believing is you're going to believe in something. Either you're going to believe that he can, or you're going to believe by your actions that he can. And so being able to know that belief is, we were talking about this in my women's small group today, belief is really inevitable. You're going to do it. And it's just a matter of what are you going to put your faith and your belief in. And one thing that even sticks out to me as I read the information that Nikisha gave us was the part about, you know, believing but helping my unbelief. Because we sometimes as Christians, I don't know how everybody's story goes, but for me, when I first came to the Lord, for real, it was like a one package deal. There was not really an unraveling. There was not an undoing that I was introduced in. I wasn't introduced into a real process. I felt like I had to maintain my salvation myself. You know, I felt like I had to, the more Bible scriptures I knew, the better I could preach, the better I could, you know, quote something, then the closer I was to God. And when that basically, I basically built my house on sinking sand. And so when that began to crumble and the things that I made an idol, you know, I made preaching an idol. I made people, my pastors and leaders, an idol. And it was like when the cards basically came crumbling down, God had to reveal to me, like, you didn't really know me. But in that moment, he wasn't bashing me. He wasn't coming down hard on me. He simply, as a father, invited me in to get to know him. It was like for me, I felt like it was a starting over. And I don't know, I just want to put that out there, because sometimes we will believe that it is our own works. And that's even sometimes taking the scriptures out of context. The one that came to my mind was like, show me your faith. You know, show me your faith by your works, and I'll show you my works by my faith. And, you know, and then so sometimes you get into those conversations with people like, you know, the whole faith without works is dead. And so you can get in those conversations, and those, if you take that out of context, it makes you feel as if you're supposed to do something yourself. But this believing in God is not easy. We believe in a God that we can't see, that, you know,
what do you tell Thomas?
You know, right? Like, but blessed are those who believe me and have not seen. He was talking about us. You know, like, you think when you're reading that, it's like, Thomas, there is going to be a group of people. There's going to be a generation of people that have not walked with Jesus, and he called us more blessed, you know, because it's hard. It's not easy. And so just wanting to encourage you guys, even as I encourage myself, to know that it's not by our power, not by our might, but by his spirit, you know, that and God is the one that is moving and working in us to do these things. But it gets very grungy and dirty when it comes to believing in God, you know. And
absolutely,
it's not always easy.
So as I was listening to Nikisha talk, I thought directly about working out. And I thought about you have to build that muscle.
Yeah.
Especially even if you used to be like super strong, doesn't matter. When you get back into you've gotten out of that practice, when you go back to working out, it's hard. And your faith is almost like a muscle. And you have to keep working that thing. You know what I mean? You got to keep looking back at, okay, you know what, last week, that's why it's important to journal. Last week I was only able to do 5 push-ups. You know what I mean? But this week I've been staying the course. And even when I don't feel like it, even when I can't see the change or the definition happening in my body, I still have to get up and do those push-ups. And in a month, well, what do you know? I'm doing 15 push-ups. You know, and there's growth that is there. You may not even be able to see it initially. Nobody else may not be able to recognize it. But if you stay the course, eventually it's like, okay, you know what? I'm up to 50 push-ups a day. I'm seeing definition in my chest. You know, my little arms is, you know, my triceps, my biceps, or whatever they're called, you know, are doing well. And that's how our faith is. We have to work it, constantly work it. When it looks like there's no way that things are going to happen. Again, journaling. This guy told me, he said, you know, I have a think, thank, praise. And I was like, what? A think, thank, praise. That when I think back of the things that he did and where he covered me, where he brought me from, I begin to thank him, right? Even when I can't see. In this situation, it looks like, you know, I've never been through this valley before. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to get out. I don't know if I'm going to be able to sustain in this place. But when I look back, I'm like, oh, he brought me from A to B to C. Surely I'm in E right now. He can carry me forward. You know what I mean? So just being in that place where you look back, because the enemy is going to try to discourage us, you know what I mean, to make us think that, you know what, God is not all that he says that he is, and in our lives, and he cannot, or, you know, it don't look like we can't see the light at the end of the tunnel and that sort of thing. But just to be encouraged of your past and where he's brought you from, even if it's a baby step. You know what I mean? Even if it's one step, because he's the same God today, yesterday, and forevermore. So.
And I feel like even with what you're saying, journaling is a way of building a memorial stone, like, or putting a memorial stone, because if you look all throughout the Old Testament, the children of Israel, they had these memorial stones. They had places that they can identify, this is where God met me. You know, they built him an altar when he delivered them from Egypt, or he delivered them out of whatever the case may be, wherever they got delivered from, you know, where he met them in Bethel and all these different things. And it's like he told them a part of his commandment was to pass that testimony down for these particular reasons. And it's like it gets hard when, you know, you're the only one in your family that's saved, or you're the only one that really knows or has a testimony of Jesus. But God put that on record with the children of Israel, and even given us an opportunity as women of God to put those things on record so our children can see. And by that, you know, your faith can grow, because you've seen the dedication and the faithfulness of God throughout your family. And so it's creating a history with God. And I just feel like those are ways, because he may not be doing what you think is a big thing, but even us just waking up, and we hear it, but it's like just waking up. He could have easily stopped, you know, our lives. He could have easily pressed the end button, but that's a memorial stone. Like, every day we wake up with that breath. And so I say that to say, because we can really get lost in looking at other people and how they've grown and how they've matured. And it's literally, I won't even go there, but what you said was good about the muscle. I wrote down like a seed in a plant. Even like when you plant a seed into the ground, it grows underground first. And that's the same thing. You go out there plant you a little flower, and you going out every day. You know, you like, is it there yet? You know, as a little girl, you're just waiting, like, is it there? But it's doing its inner working, and the foundation work, what's going to strengthen it and cause it to stay in the ground. It's doing it, you know, underneath the surface. And this reminds me, honestly, of when you don't understand the process, you dishonor a process. And I feel like God is just bringing this up. I remember when I was a little kid, and this young girl that was my next door neighbor, she had planted a little cherry something. And me and my bad little cousins, you know, we jumped her fence and we, you know, yanked up, you know, her cherry, you know, tree or whatever. And I mean, she was so mad. Like, and to me, it's like, well, you know, it was just a joke, you know, but no, because she understood the process. Her parents probably walked her through the process of what this is going to do and what this is going to look like. And now that it's finally sprouted out the ground, you know, it's like, you just gonna snatch it up. So, even you know, but that's it's like there is that deep where I know.
I'm like, she's sorry.
I know, I am sorry.
She didn't mean to. She did mean to, but she didn't know that it was going to do that damage. Okay.
I didn't know he didn't give me the revelation till now. I'm 33.
Amen.
You know?
But there's you know, there's such a blessing also with your generation upon generation. I love tulips. I absolutely love tulips. And when in my singleness, y'all, I used to be like, man, literally would be getting up looking outside because I was like, one day somebody's going to plant me tulips in my yard and they're just going to grow, right? And I'm just going to be so ecstatic, like, oh my God, like, don't bring me tulips, plant them so when I look outside I'm going to see tulips. Anywho, get married. And Ashley and I live in the same complex, and what'd you say?
I said, don't do him like that on TV, but go ahead.
Oh no, look, I get married. Listen, no, I ain't coming for my boo. I get married, and Ashley and I live in the same complex. And one day in the spring, literally, I go outside in my bag. As a matter of fact, I didn't even go outside. I cracked the window, y'all, and there were tulips. Coming up. No, my husband did not plant them. A generation of somebody who lived there before me or before that planted those tulips. But the fact that I was able to reap the harvest of somebody else, I was blown away, y'all. When I tell y'all I was blown away, like, God, you love me so much. You know what I mean? Because the fact that, you know, even if I plant the seed, I cannot cause it to grow. It comes from the Father. You know what I mean? He had to make that thing come up. And I was just like, you know what? I am your favorite child. I know it.
Not you playing favorites.
I know, but you know, I was so excited. But the things that we do today, that faith that we begin to plant within ourselves, within our children, you know, to have that childlike faith. You know, everybody right now, you know, it's the holiday season, and a lot of kids are excited about Christmas, and you know, they have such a childlike faith. Even if right now it's in Santa that he's going to come and bring these gifts, their faith, it's unmovable. You hear me?
For real.
It's unmovable. I'm telling you, like, they know, this is what I put on this list. I'm going to send this list out, and surely, guess what? On the 25th, the things that I put on that list are going to be underneath that tree. They believe that, you know, and it's put into them as children a lot of times to have that faith. So if we plant the faith of Christ within our children, you know, it will sustain over time. So.
Yeah, that's good. Even what Ashley was talking about, I heard it broken down once. Somebody was explaining how everybody has a measure of faith. Like, whether you walk with Christ or not, that measure of faith that God is giving you is still within there. And he was saying that even to sit on a chair and believe that chair is going to hold you up.
Yes.
It's faith. Like, whether you believe it or not, because if you didn't think, you know, you would hesitate. Like, you know, like, I don't know, I could fall, I could hurt myself. Right. But it was like, even the fact that you believe that structure is strong enough. Now we know sometimes that don't work out very like. Right. But I thought that was good. But I guess a reminder, I just want people to, maybe not even a reminder, maybe it's the first time you heard it, but like, God is not intimidated by your doubt.
Yeah.
Right.
And in the, I'm so sorry, y'all, but in the message that I sent them to, that John Piper wrote, he explained that he was talking about Peter, and in Luke 22:31-32, when Jesus was telling them that I'm about to die, you know, this is what I'm about to go do, but I'm going to let y'all know, he let Peter know, like, you're going to deny me. Peter's like, nah. He's like, you are, but it's okay, I prayed for you. You know, he's like, I prayed for you, and once you return, I want you to go strengthen your brothers. you're going to fail me.
Yeah.
You're going to reject me. But I pray for you. I pray that your faith be strengthened. And that once you are strengthened, you go and strengthen your brothers. Because I want you to partner with me in this.
Yeah.
And you know, the fact that, and what Piper just went on to talk about was just that even through the sin of denial, because he knows that God is the one who gives faith. So he should pray like Jesus did. Like God gives us a measure of faith. He actually gave us the faith that we have. The little bit that we think that we believe in God. Mm-hmm. That mustard seed, he actually planted it. He actually gave it to us. So, like, we can't even boast in ourselves. Those who actually do establish, like, you know, show a great measure of faith, they can't even boast in themselves because for some reason God just gave them more. Now, not to say that that just gives you a slack, like you just like, because maybe it's not as easy for you to believe in certain things. You know, you're a little more inquisitive. I need to know all of this first. That doesn't give you the ability to just say, you know, this is just how I'm made. Because like Saniqua and Ashley both said, like, it's still a working out your faith. Yeah. It's still like, as I grow, because I do believe that as you grow, the Lord will expand your capacity to even accept more from him. Yeah. So maybe you had that measure of faith, but he will continue to plant if you're hungry. Like if you grow more, he will continue to give you more. Like you were talking earlier about even the talents. Like, you know, you might have been getting 2 talents right now, but if you're good and steward those 2 talents, he's going to come back and get more because he wants an investment. Like, he said, like, he's a wise investor. Like, I gave you 10 and you didn't do what you were supposed to do. Okay, I know that's the reverse of the story, but still. I gave you 10, you didn't do what you were supposed to do, but I gave them 2 and they flipped that?
Yeah.
Okay, you about to get more this time. You go sit down. Just like, you know, but I love that. And it's a whole process of sanctification. Like, sanctification itself means that we're going to be given trials. We're going to be given tribulations. And that's going to test our faith. Sometimes we may end up doubting. Sometimes we may not do it the right way. And that discourages us. But you're going to be getting sanctified your whole life.
Yeah, that's true. One thing that is really good about what she's saying, or what's highlighted, is in the midst of that doubt or whatever lack that we're experiencing, or we feel like we're experiencing in God, I feel like it's God's way of bringing us into him. You know, it's like when I think about Hannah and how she was barren, but her barrenness caused her to cry out to God. It kept her in relationship with the Lord. And so, and just different people throughout the Bible. So if we're looking and we're like, God, why don't I have this? Why don't I have this faith? But it's causing you to stay in that communication, in that dialogue, because he's not lacking in faith. He's not lacking in children. He's not lacking in the promise. I love what he says in Deuteronomy 8. He says, always his desire to give you the promise, but he took us to the wilderness to show us who we are, to show us our hearts. And so he's not lacking in anything, so he can give it to you whatever he wants to, but what's in you. And so if you know, you don't have the faith to believe God for that job or to believe God for that healing, you know, don't beat yourself up, don't get discouraged, but ask God, what is this teaching me? You know, what am I supposed to learn here? And God, if nothing else, I thank you that I lack in that area because I'm still in relationship with you. I haven't cut you off, you know, because we can get to that place. We get so discouraged. The enemy will beat up on us because we feel like we're not like, you know, this person or that person. And it's like, no, you're on your own trajectory. It's not, you know, this competition. You're in your own lane and you're on your own journey with the Lord, and he loves you in that journey. Now, he doesn't want us to continue in sin or continue, you know, because doubt and unbelief is a sin. You know, he doesn't want us to continue in that. He has faith that we're coming out, but what are we on the journey? What are we filling our minds and our hearts with? Are we just continuing to listen to the devil and say, no, you're never going to get there, and then you walk away from the Lord, you're not serving him no more? Or are we going to really listen to God and press into that? So
I wanted to touch on, she talked about it being a test. And I've often heard it said that the teacher does not talk during the test, right? And I'm like, oh yeah, you know, I'm going along with it for a long time. Oh yeah, teachers don't talk during the test until I became a teacher. And the thing that I realized, I know, right? The thing that I realized is the teacher wants the student to get 100%. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you want that child to master the test and get 100. If there's a child who has been missing a lot of days and they haven't been there and that sort of thing, and they have to take the test anyway, the humility of this right here says that I need help. You know what I mean? The humility of raising your hand to say, you know what, teacher, pick me because I don't understand, this thing. And the thing about God is that it's an open book test. Like, he's not giving us a closed book test. He's giving everything. It's all right there in the word. And at times we have to surrender our hands to say, you know what, God, I need help. I don't know the answers to this. I'm about to go ahead and call it quits. I need you to come over here and help me. And a good teacher, answers that call.
Yeah.
They may not give you the direct answer, but because it's an open book test, they will direct you to how to get to the answer that you need so that you can get out or move on to the next thing. And a lot of times we fail to look in the book. We fail to really get in there and dive in there and find the answer to the problem that we have, because there's nothing new underneath the sun. I'm telling y'all, I was like the shade of the Bible. When I text y'all, I was really tripped, like the shade of the Bible. The fact that, Jacob and Esau, oh my gosh. Like, I just was really, really like placing it in a modern time. This time reading it around, like, man, y'all just telling everybody, anybody marry my handmaid and just go ahead and have this kid, that, third. And the faith of the women that were barren. Yeah. Like, God, I need you. Honey. Because she getting on my nerves. She had about 4 kids. Right. I know you ain't forget about me. He's like, you know what? I didn't forget about you. I'm going to open your womb. You're going to birth a child, for this time, in this season. It just was really, blowing me. But get in that Bible. Yeah. Get in the time of testing when you feel like, there have been times in my life where I felt like I can't hear God anymore. Yeah. Like, I just don't hear you. Like, I don't hear you clear. You all right? She hasn't. Okay, no. Go ahead. It's all right, boo.
But even when you're saying that you don't hear them, like when you were talking about the teacher, the thing I thought about is that sometimes the teacher may just give you an encouragement because they know they've already prepared you for what's on the test.
Absolutely.
Like, I don't have to give you the answer. I don't even have to hold your hand in this. I've prepared you.
That's
so
true.
Even when you were saying, like, my times often that I feel like I don't hear from God, is God showing me that I've prepared you.
It's
in
there. It's right. Absolutely.
Pull it up out of you. You have to be able to work up your faith sometimes.
Yes,
but
absolutely.
That's beautiful. And another thing, I just
but you studied. Oh, that's what I mean. Yeah. You studied for the test.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Show thyself approved
unto God, not unto man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But when you study for a test, you come in up with confidence. You hear me? Like, I know these answers. I don't even need the book. I've been looking at
and you ready to help somebody else.
You ain't lying. And the thing is, you ain't testing by yourself. That's the thing.
You be like, oh, I got the answer.
You ain't testing by yourself. You're like, what did y'all, this ain't cheating though in life. What y'all over there doing? It's A, okay. It's how I get out of this. Stop.
Help me.
I'm done with y'all.
But for real,
I wanted to piggyback on Ashley just a little bit because she was talking about the Lord giving us that, like, we're not taking the doubt away from us, like, so that we continue to go to Him. But I even think, like, even in the scripture I'm about to read, that the Lord, sometimes you're dealing with that so that you are humbled too. Yeah. So that you don't boast in what you have. So this Romans 12:3, for by the grace given to me, I say to everyone among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think with sober judgment, each according to the measure of faith that God has assigned. Yeah. That's so beautiful. And I even think of Paul later. And he's talking about, we believe him to be talking about more of a physical issue, but he said he gave him a thorn in the side that he wouldn't take away so that he would not boast in himself.
That's right.
Because at this point, people looking at Paul too. Like, we look at Paul now and we're just like, oh, mighty Paul.
Literally,
like, mighty Paul. But, like, he saw himself as chief of the sinners. He knew what he had done beforehand. But at this point, people are looking, okay, Father Paul, because he was a father to many of them. And he's like, Lord, take this away. Like, the flesh won't take it. I can't deal with this. I don't want to deal with it. But he's like, the Lord's like, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. So even some more issues, like, I just think of, like, some of our downfalls that we're beating ourselves up on, sometimes it's by design.
Yeah.
Some of our trials and tribulation are by design. So I just want to encourage everybody with that. And I want to, fill your cup. I want to encourage leaders too. I'll be brief about this, but I talked to a young lady last week, and she was telling me about how discouraged she was growing up in the church, that whenever she would question something about God, she didn't understand something, that her pastor would tell her to not question God. And that hurt my heart so much, because one, you can't learn without forming questions. You can't learn without trying to seek. And the Bible itself tells us to ask, seek, to knock. He tells us to keep coming to him, to seek him out. That is our treasure to do so. God is not intimidated by our questions. Like, he knows who we are. I can say that over and over and over. God is not intimidated by your questions. God is not intimidated by your questions. Somebody ask him. He would rather you ask him than you to sit there in your pity and shy away. Like Ashley was talking about, sometimes we get so discouraged that we isolate ourselves, and then that's when Satan can really come in. And he can really destroy some things. But God is not intimidated. And if you are finding that in your community of believers, you might want to get out. I don't know how, that's just about as plain as I can be, because if you have people who are not stewarding you rightly and they can't explain stuff to you, I wonder if they even know the God that they believe in too. And that's a problem.
Yeah, I think to fill you guys' cup, I just want to encourage you to keep going, keep asking, keep seeking, keep knocking, keep reading your word, because Saniqua said, the answers are in there. Nobody has arrived, not your leaders. I'm learning as God is teaching me how to disciple young women, that I can be vulnerable with them. I don't have to be super saver teacher and know everything. Saying I don't know is okay, to say we're going to journey with this together. God has brought me here, and you may feel like you're just a little old here, but no, I'm continuing to learn about this God. We're going to be discovering him until eternity past. And so just encourage you that you don't have to measure up to anybody or anything. And even I could feel like Nikisha's heart with even leaders, be okay with saying, I don't know. Because everybody may be pulling on your coattail to figure out the answers, but the answer is Jesus Christ himself. And so if we don't know, then we can go to God together, even as leaders. We don't have to feel like the pressure of having to know everything. That's not what this is about, and I just feel like through our generations, just church history, just in the Western culture, it's just been a very weird hierarchy, and it's like the top person, the pastor, the apostle has to know everything, and I gotta go to them, but that's too much pressure on one person. And so just want to encourage you guys to get to know the Lord for real.
I would say that Romans 10:17 says that faith cometh by hearing, and hearing of the word. And while you're in that word, pray God's word back to him.
That's good.
Because he's not going to deny himself. You know what I mean? So as you're, combing through the word, you're journaling, begin to highlight some of those prayers and pray, or those scriptures, and pray those scriptures over your life. Begin to memorize them as best as you can, but constantly eating and chewing on that word every single day and giving God's word back to him. So.
Wisdom is the principal thing.
And all that
Get understanding.
We love you guys. We appreciate you guys. If you have any questions, want to continue this conversation, just let us know. We love you.
Coffee and chat.